Bắt cho trọc tao đi.
I'll show them to our British. Nilki, Salvik,
Food, knife, spot, spot device.
Fire, 1, 2, 3, 4, fire starter.
Equal Lego disame.
Sleeping bag. Okay.
Okay, what I've written down here are 5 things our elders said this. There's 2 mistakes.
3 right, 2 wrong.
Tingnan sa pityak sa may makopi kang matlo.
We'll come back to that.
Utok pa ganyak ka po.
We talk about
Ako na nga asingin ni Takurok.
survivors. I want you to come up here.
Ako inuunak to mani. Kayok ko.
Anybody?
Ada dun.
We don't have all afternoon. Vic.
So we picked a knife, string, a gun, and flashlight. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4,
Flashlight.
5. Oh, sorry. Mirror. And, sorry, the one with the star on it. Okay. Knife. Extra outerwear, a Zippo lighter, a mirror, and flashlight. And food. Regarding the food, it's high protein, high calories food. And Solomon.
Zipper lighter. Kashuk. Tema, you got it?
Got it.
No hand, okay, because it got Solomon on it. Foil blanket. Urik. Which one? Where are the fighters? Which one are the fighters?
The ones that are starred.
Pourquoi?
Naliatan lima nakuha bisiyo. Nalangit ko.
3, 4,
So 1, 2, 3, they have starred, knife, and flashlight. And Solomon.
This is what they would want to bring. Knife, some clothing outside of what you're wearing, a lighter, flashlight, some food,
1, 2, 3, and a mirror.
and a mirror.
Ilang ikaw tam maximum mata?
Some mistakes here too.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Well, this is not a star. You got it, but it's not a star. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6 wrong. Well, maybe 1, 2, 3, 2 wrong out of 5. Give up your hand now. The next one, coffee shop.
Coffee shop?
They were over there at coffee shop.
Oh, coffee shop. Coffee. There's an end of coffee.
I want to go for coffee. Okay, yeah, now we go.
Some food.
Oh.
A lighter. Some food. A lighter.
In-reach device sama hulu
A spot.
in-reach
Spot Ajinga.
adigi kasap
There's a similar device like Spot, but we can text and receive texts. It's almost like this. It's almost like a Spot device. It's essentially a Spot device, but better than Spot. Enriched. A knife. Putte jute ko aja gini to ko yang meru kasih. The Swiss Army knife with nail clippers and the light. But not a battery operated one, it'll be a cranked battery. Crank charged battery. Or radio.
Food zipper, in-reach device, multi-purpose knife.
Putte ju aja gini to ko yang elu lilik. A knife that has more than one implement on it.
Crank flashlight.
Kau mak tayo, ikaw makakayakang ito.
Key.
Kaya kaya li.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Well, still 3 hours too.
Tingnan sunipit ka pa makon na bikamat.
Do we have that one yet? Key life in comfort. Who wants to comfort me after this?
Kikut tayo ma pati yung kalami at kang ngok takawan.
So we set a water container with something to collect water. Fire starter, so that could be a matches or a lighter. Warmth, clothing, sleeping bag, a knife, and then high energy food rations.
Okay. A milk.
Water, fire starter,
Cold duty.
something to keep you warm,
Nunavut.
clothing, a knife,
Cold ration.
food rations.
Okay. Okay. According to the sheet.
The lighter, and Something to keep you warm.
Knife, service, nothing. Everybody got 3 out of 2. Everybody got winning. But if we put them all together, we would probably have 5. Let's talk about food. Because you were out on the airplane. We have to think sometimes that one item can do something more than one. A canned food. What else can it do? Container for water. Huh? Water container, yes. It's metal. It's not plastic. It's metal. You can cook, make a water. He says so. He survived on the can. You eat some food, you get some water. That's one thing. We got food. Yes. Some people might think frozen caribou, char, chicken, or no. Canned food, okay? Canned food. Zipper, kazoo. Everybody got one. Awesome. But he says, kazoo. It's not kisunikwa. It's not what do you call that? Zippo, no? Bic. It lights. This only works with the fuel on. This only works with the fuel on. Snow machine only works with fuel on. Remember that. Airplane only works with fuel on. So this one has no fuel. It can't light, no light. But if you put a fuel on, it will light. This one, you run out of fuel, that's it. Tema. Unless you can use the flint. Savik, knife. Somebody said multi-purpose. Ukaktokakoyok. Multi-purpose. That's a lot of things. This one has the can opener. You bring the can. You got the can opener. Some people might think of bringing savik. That little too big. Not everybody have this. Everybody can buy this. Anybody can buy this. Not everybody have this. Only people who have skills to make it, or somebody who had $300 to buy a knife. That's how you can survive. Not any kind of food. That kind of food. Not any kind of lighter. This kind of lighter. What else? Hi. This also works. What I show you, matches. And waterproof. Kisuru tema. Oh, maybe here. Aksuna. A string. This one has multi-purpose. What we want to bring on the plane, very small item, but multi-purpose. There's one more. Oh, mamena. Okay, I got this one here. You got a better one. He got a better one. How beautiful I am. How come? Signal, yeah. If you got a sun, you can signal.
Do you think if you took the flashlight apart, would that be sufficient for signaling the reflective bowl?
Signaling things. There are different things that are available now, such as that. You can bring that. So you can use these as signaling devices that are available these days. Or something that can produce a spark. We found someone who was just flicking a lighter. We've rescued people like that. There are different things that you can use, that you can bring to use as signaling things today, these days. We have to think about bringing things that we can use to help other people see us. Just spread this out and they can see it. This can tell lots of people that you guys need help. It's really good to bring. You don't need to build it. You just spread it out and you can signal other people. Modern things like this are very useful. We bring them, you all should bring them too. But we are the more knowledgeable people here. Other men come to us for information, and we used to do that to older people when we were younger. So there are many things that you can use out there that can help you be seen. We've only brought some of the things here. We didn't bring all of the things that we usually bring on a hunting trip. We use the other equipment to show young people what to bring and how to use them. And we won't be able to go through my entire calendar today. This is very useful to me. I use it as a reference. There's some information I've put together. What Inuit used to follow that has to do with wildlife and traveling. It sort of touches on what we're working on here. That's all I wanted to say. Like, we know what this is. If we bring something like this, it can help us not get thirsty for a long time. It'll keep the saliva going in your mouth, and your body fluid will circulate using that. It's really useful. It can help us last a little bit longer for help. It produces saliva and it wets your mouth and it gets your body fluids going. This looks like just a plastic bag. If you don't have water available, it can be used to carry water or make water. Even in the winter time, just put snow in it and put it against your body. It'll turn to water. It can help us too. If we get too thirsty or too hungry. So we don't have much material here, but we wanted to convey this information on to you all. It'll help me and you. That's what we wanted to do today. We haven't gone through everything. My knife, I didn't bring it, but I have a knife similar to this as well that can be used for anything, basically. And saws. I have a saw that I bring in the winter, and I use it in the winter. These type of saws are real good. Even if we're not quite sure what to do, we can build something that'll help us survive. It doesn't have to be a real igloo. You can even make it a square shelter as long as you can build something that you can crawl into. It doesn't have to look like an igloo, it can be like a rectangle as long as it's covered over. We were told, don't try to make it pretty or beautiful, just make it practical. And we have to carry that information to today. Because we're still around today, and we have to remember all these things. Once you wake up in the morning, get out right away. And before bedtime, look outside, look at the sky, and wonder what the weather will be like tomorrow. And in the morning, you look at the sky and wonder what the weather will be like today. Even if we don't look at Nunavut news or anything like that, we can get the information ourselves. It may take a while for us to learn it. And then one day you'll realize, oh, what Simon told us was true. That's what we're trying to share with you. Things that you hear, talk about them to your children. When it comes from you directly to your children, that's the proper way to convey survival information. The things that we've told you today, please share them with your children. We live a different type of lifestyle today, but survival, things that will help you survive, the information that you learn, please share with your descendants, and then tell them to share it with their descendants too. Sometimes you'll forget it, it'll pop up in your mind as you go along your life. That's the way it goes. Thank you very much. All the things that you wrote down. Even though we said there is some mistakes in them, they can be useful. We're talking about something that is very comprehensive. In the past, we were told if you're a pilot or a nurse or army person, all the things that are written down here, they had to rely on those. They didn't bother to teach us these things. People from the south didn't bother to teach us these things. But the information that you're getting here is from like hundreds of years ago. Don't throw this away as long as it's got a spark. It can be used to signal after it gets dark, even if there's no fuel in it. This one, even if it's empty of fuel, take it home, because you can keep on using it afterwards. Once the fuel is ready, you can reuse it. And this, the teeth, it's better to have big teeth on the saw, and that's why it's easier to cut snow with. Okay, when we hear someone is missing out there or late, we always ask a question: did he bring a saw? If someone gets lost, question we usually ask: did he bring a knife? Some people call this a pana. Another type of knife is similar to this, but it's got a thumb place. This string here, it can be very important to women at home doing crafts and stuff. And the tent, that, or a tarp that can be used as a shelter next to a boulder or something. If we're going to use it like that. Rocks are not real good to have a tent over. If you try to put a rocks to keep the tent down, they'll just roll off. So this can be more useful than rocks. Just tie it to one end, and this can produce like almost a tent frame over your shelter. All these can become useless if it's summer. And in the past, they were not available anyway. We would use heather, a plant called heather. You would gather a whole bunch of heather and put it over you. Even if it's raining, the rain will not go through that, and it can provide warmth if these are not available. They're very convenient to use today, and we know that. And we choose them and use them. As long as they're working well, then they work well. Clothing made out of animal skins, they are the best to use. One time I didn't believe this. I thought a good clothing would need to have a good zipper and nice big hat on it or hood with a small face opening. Then I realized they'll just make you freeze. There's a lot of breezes coming in different places. the clothing made out of skins. We didn't like the smell at one point, but then we realized they're good. Even if they're wet, they don't get wet all the way through. Rain won't go through them. If I lie on the snow, it won't get wet, water won't get through it. So animal skins are real good for that. They are from this land, and they are very good to use up here. Like, we hardly use them because we just use the conveniently bought items. So what you're hearing can be used. And something else that's been said, a person that is being searched for, and that person's mitts got wet with snow, that person could just flick the snow off, and that person walked. And he threw his mitts away. And then he ended up having no mitts. He had to put them in his cups. We don't want to see things like that happening. If you get snow inside your mitts, make your mitt inside out and flick all the snow off. Gloves are important too, but they're dangerous in winter weather. If a part of the glove gets wet, they freeze real fast. But mittens, they're better than gloves. Use mitts instead of gloves. It's better. But you can wear gloves inside your mitts. And make sure, when you're going hunting, make sure the clothing that you're wearing is not tight. And if your feet are tight, then your feet will start to get sore. And if you get cold feet, and your kamiks are too tight and you can't wiggle your toes, that's really dangerous. Your feet, your toes must be able to wiggle and move around in your kamik or boot. So this information we're giving to you is our information. We're giving it to you. As I stated, us older people, we experienced it, and now we are starting to give out this information a little bit at a time to you. They're more important than what we know how to do at home. Thank you very much. We are friends, and we are hearing together, but we'll always make mistakes. If we make a mistake at home, very few people will hear about it. But here, it's okay to make a mistake like that. The 1, 2, 3 ones are the important ones. So make sure you bring those. So what we're sharing with you is some of the things that we've learned when we've been stuck out there. It would be good if we can do like a part 2 of this thing, if it's possible. Maybe Solomon can talk about that or something else.
We were talking about the crash of airplane. we got list. But from hearing from the elders, you can always bring these stuff on your machine, including rifle, multi-purpose, flashlight, all that stuff. You can bring all that stuff on your machine. Those 5 things are the main ones to survive. That's what we're talking about, survive. When you bring your grub box, we only bring 3 things. Tea, sugar, palauga. Yeah, tea, sugar, palauga. Some of us can bring what he mentioned, chocolate bar, a pop, whatever. What we want you to show you is that whether you're going on the plane, whether you're going on the snow machine, those 5 things are the main course. The rest is yours to call. You can bring tent, you can bring stove, all that stuff on your machine. So those are the things that we want you to remember. Whether you're going on the plane, whether you're going on a snow machine, 5 lists, bring them along with you. Any question before one more item, last item, the heavy item? Oh, I forgot to mention. Some of us can buy already the package from the store, some of us. Some of us can also bring the stuff inside. On the plastic container, which is waterproof, that's my stuff. You don't really need to copycat. What these are, I bring on my machine. Flares, sewing stuff, blankets, whatever you can bring in your machine. Okay, there was no question. Let's go to the last item. Kingulak pa, paksainik, search and rescue, before we wrap on. Throughout the day, they have been talking about this, right from the beginning, search and rescue. We will not really talk about the operation of the search and rescue, but we want you to understand that they do their best and work very hard looking for someone. Throughout the day, they have been talking about search and rescue. He mentioned earlier, somebody walk off from the snow machine. Almost every person who walked off a snow machine did not survive. Every time they said, don't leave your machine. Somebody asked earlier when we crossed the airplane, are we walking or are we staying? What are we doing? Stay put. Yeah. Every church, they always find the machine first. If the man is there, yes. I went out search and rescue myself. Oh, sorry. I was banging on the mic. I found the person. We found the person as a group. He was on the machine. He got shelter. He was waiting in the machine. We found him. They found another person in the machine. They found over there, he was with the machine. Every time that we had a church, they found the machine. They can probably talk more.
And before I forget, the way the climate is out there, you need to have warm clothing, and if you're going to be doing any kind of activity, take off your outer jacket in case it makes you too warm and you sweat. And once you settle down, and if you're not going to go home right away, you will get cold. So I'm telling you this, I forgot to mention this earlier. And these days flashlights have a different, more bluish light. They can be used anytime. We know that now. Last year we were snowmobiling, and we were looking for people before they found their bodies. We saw the flashlights, and they had been in the water and they were wet, but we managed to find them with the flashlight signaling. So the flashlights that are available today are more visible during the daytime because the light is bluish, more bluish. I used to go hunting with other people. No, I used to go searching with other people. And I would go along. But once in a while we'd go hunting, and then we'd find out that there's no way we can go home. It'd be like a blizzard, total whiteout. So the elders are gone, and now I'm the leader. Okay, sometimes it would take days to find people who had walked away from their machines. And they would get lost, but then they would just keep going and going and going. And if their kamutik or snowmobile gets stuck and they're going the wrong direction, they would keep walking. And then we'd end up following their tracks, and we'd lose their tracks. We would be in such a rush to find them, but then we'd lose the tracks once in a while. Like we keep telling people, if your snow machine breaks down, don't go anywhere. Stay with your machine. And there has been many instances where the snowmobile is found, and then more days later they would eventually find the hunter, and a lot of times they would find a dead hunter. Once it becomes apparent that something serious has happened, then the searchers work even harder to find at least the body. This can happen to you. That's why we're telling you this. It happens every year. People do that every year. In the past, we didn't have any communication equipment. And one time I had to go search for some RCMP people who had gone caribou hunting. The other person was an Inuk. We just had an old-fashioned HF radio, and Iqaluit was able to hear us with making the antenna turn in some way. They have better communication equipment these days, though. The searchers work very hard to find people. And there will be, we support the future searchers. While we're able, we want to make sure we share the knowledge that we have. We would have been long dead if our fate was such. In 2009, I had 2 men pulled me out and took me 40 miles back to Iqaluit, and they had to go through a big hill. And here my clothing is all soaked. And I was semi-conscious when we made it to Iqaluit. I'm telling you, all of you, we want to make sure you don't go into that situation. You have to be aware of your surroundings in your entire life. That's what we're trying to tell you. Thank you for having me be a part of this. I have requested something like this to be done, and today we get a chance to do it into 2017. Thank you. It's a good idea to bring something that you can test the snow with. Once you stab the snow, it's just a way to tell if there are layers in the snow or if it's from one blizzard. You can bring just a rod like that. That's enough snow to build an igloo with where his hand is. Just stab the snow slowly, and if there's no blockages or hardness, then the snow is consistent all the way through. There are no ice layers. More than 20, I have helped bring back more than 20 people that have passed away out on the land. It's really hard to find bodies. What you heard here earlier, don't leave your machine. And don't get too hot if you have to do activity. If you sweat, then you'll get very cold, and that's really dangerous. The last thing pressed on this button was pressed by a guy who died in the water. And the memory, it's there. Inside this gadget is where a person died. We looked everywhere and we saw where the person had fallen through the ice. Kisyo? Oh, Money doesn't matter at all, as long as you survive. That's the most important thing. Some people think that these things are too expensive to buy, but those of us we can, like certain rescue, we can go anywhere. We don't think about money when somebody has to be looked for. We're not too active these days, but we try to help in other ways that we can. I have a lot of information in me that I can share. I just want to say thank you, and I would like to do this again at some point. We'd have to try and learn it not just on paper. Like right now we're just hearing the information. It'd be good to do more hands-on. We're talking about very important things, but they're kind of hard to convey in here. Keeping aware of your environment, your surroundings, and looking at the weather daily. Watch as the weather changes. So we thank all of you and for your patience. Like we've made you sit here all day. Sometimes these don't take too long, but sometimes they take longer. You can see me here. I've gone through a lot. In February, I fell into the water, submerged, completely submerged in February. We had to rely on the things that we had learned, because we had been taught by our elders on how to survive. We're still here today. If you're traveling by air or any other way, there were no airplane or schedules in those days, but we still lived. When you're in a dangerous situation, there is one person on your mind. I can say that I have many stories to say, but I was rescued at that time when I was outside. I saw a raven that seemed to be really sad looking at me, and I told the raven, I'm fine. Go tell my family I'm okay. So I told that raven, and then back home, where a raven never comes, a raven went to my house. And then my family became happier. They were wondering why this raven was where it was. And after I got back and told the story, that raven I told to go tell my family that I'm okay, he went through the window. That is how some of us have been helped by the elements out there. It's true. Animals feel for us too. We're trying to give you more information that can help you preserve yourselves and to share with younger people. This course or this workshop will be very useful if you could do that, to share younger people and any people. It's a good starting point. It would be good if we can do this again. What we're doing here. And thank you very much. We've gone through very difficult times. We've had to try and survive in the water. Thank you very much. We'll see y'all again. Thank you.
Kuya nami Jitalu Simon